seems like a lot has happened since we played last, but even the lead up, hadn't really talking a lot about the lead up before the game. We were missing a few players from it. You know, as we said, we don't have a whole lot of positives, but we have enough through contact tracing to wound our team a little bit. But, you know, those guys, the guys who were out this past week will be out this week also. So with that being said, you know, the rest of our players moved on. It was a tough situation for Karan Taylor to be in. You know, we really, you know, Matt Robinson was listed as our second guy and Isaiah Williams, but I thought Karan came in and did some good football, made some good football plays, did some good things. Offensively, though, overall, it's still tough when you turn the ball over that much. And a lot of them were down in the red zone where we had opportunities to get points. But we were productive as far as yards were concerned, but we need to get some more points on the board. Defensively, I thought we did some things better. You know, we played the run fairly well the last couple of games, but passing game-wise, we have to play better pass defense than that. On the offensive side, Chase Brown got more carries. Some guys that haven't played a lot, Alex Pilstrom stepped in and did a good job. Kyron Comby got, you know, some of his first action. Daniel Bebe was able to do some things. So, and I like the way the offensive line kind of stepped up. Kendrick Green moving to center on short notice. And defensively, Owen Carney, I think Owen had 3 sacks and he should have had 2 others where he just didn't wrap the quarterback up. So that's when you have production like that at the defensive end position, you have to like it. Jake Hansen calls in a couple of takeaways or, you know, forced an offense to turn the ball over a few times. So there were some good things, but not good enough. We'll need to clean those things up to beat a Minnesota team that's coming off a couple of tough losses also. I'll take your question.
Bob, you're up first. Scott Beatty on deck, and then Marley in the hole.
Coach, it sounds like you had a kind of a short turnaround between the time you found out what was going to happen in terms of players available and how you know when the game came. How do you think you guys reacted to that part of this whole thing?
Well, I think you don't have a choice, Bob. You know,
Right.
You know, a lot of times when you're playing a game and you get an injury, you don't have time to really. It's always just next person up. We had a little bit more time than you know being injured in a game. I'm talking about as far as Doug and Brandon were concerned, but you know we didn't find out until after we had completed our game plan. So that's a little bit harder, but that's life in 2020.
Coach, I know tomorrow you gave the guys off for Election Day. Just kind of talk about your thoughts about that whole thing.
Yes, I did. So by giving them off tomorrow, as you mentioned, there was a quick turnaround for us. We practiced our normal Tuesday that we would have. We practiced today, early this morning. So, but it is important. I mean, this is presidential election amongst other things. So I've talked an awful lot about the guys being involved and what's going on in our world and in our country. So here's a chance to really say, to make your voice be known, and just what you believe. So I was able to get out, and my wife and I voted last Wednesday or Thursday, early voting, which was pretty convenient right here on campus. But all of our guys will, if they haven't voted, they'll be voting tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Scott Beatty, you're up. Marley, you're on the deck.
Lovie, I've heard the adage that you can't lose your starting job to injury once you return, but with the play of some of the folks that have come in, Johnny Newton, Grant Taylor, Tariq Barnes, are any of those guys sort of challenging that notion?
Well, when you say you've heard that, I've never been a part of that. I've never gone by that. To me, you make decisions at that time on who starts, who plays, all of that based on the information you have. And if you miss for an injury or whatever, and someone comes in and they play so well that you feel like you need to continue to play them, that's always been what I've gone with. Most of the time, that's not the case where, someone steps in and performs so well that you. So we'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, that's for later on. Right now, we need everybody that's been put in a position where they need to play now, they weren't playing before. We need them to play at a high level to give us a chance to win. Simple as that.
Is the play of Johnny Newton as a freshman something very unique from what you've seen?
We loved Johnny Newton when we recruited him. Just picture, he's playing defensive tackles for us. He was on a playoff team at running back. I personally watched him score in overtime in Florida. Florida High School, one of the top program, Florida High School at running back. So when you put an athlete like that at the defensive tackle position, you're pretty excited. When I was in Chicago, we had a guy, Henry Melton, that started at running back for the University of Texas, and we moved to defensive tackle. We ended up getting a good player. I'm not saying that's who Johnny Newton is, but we've liked everything he's done since he's been on campus. And if Jamal Woods can't go this week, we feel comfortable with him playing.
Last one, I heard you say at the end of the game that if you had scored, you would have gone for two, trying to put the game away and avoid overtime, I guess. What was behind that choice, and is that something that game was telling you or something you like in general?
That's something I like in general. That's something that the game told me. When you have momentum like for us to make the comeback, we would have had momentum. And to me, you're in the game as soon as you can. Now, that's not to say that next time we have an overtime game, I'm going to go for two, or possibility of going in overtime, I'm going to go for two. That game is how I was feeling.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Marley, you're up. Jim Cotter, you're on deck, and Josh in the hole.
Hey, Lovie, I wanted to circle back on the election. It's not just you guys that have the day off. It's the entire NCAA, and you guys are going to continue to have election day off moving forward. What kind of precedent does that set in the college sports landscape?
Well, I think it's something that's long overdue if you really think about it. I mean, we have holidays where we take days off for a lot of different things. What is more important than the presidential election, amongst other things that will happen tomorrow? So it's something that should have been done a long time ago. And, in years past, I'm sure there are a lot of guys that it just didn't work. Just picture a typical day, work game week day, game week Tuesday, football for 4 hours, lifting, all that, plus, school. And now you can just, whenever it works into your schedule, you can, of course, do it. And then just kind of be involved with the rest of the world to see. I mean, it's exciting to see results coming in. So I'm pumped up. I'm glad that 2020 kind of told us this is something that we should do, and can't wait to see who our next president will be.
Awesome. And just another quick one here. Is there any update on Matt Robinson or any indication for what the quarterback room looks like right now?
Yeah, Matt is getting better. Marley, you kind of know that was the answer I was going to give you too, right? He is getting better. Don't know, the extent of him being available for this weekend, but he is getting better. He's not out for the year or anything like that. He will play for us sometime. We just hope sooner than later.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim Cotter, then Josh, Matt Stevens in the hole. Jim, are you on mute? Jim, we'll come back to you. We'll come back. Josh, go ahead. You're up.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask you about the defensive line. This past week, they came up with a couple of big moments like helping with the stop on the 4th and goal, and also forcing a fumble on the 1. What have you liked out of what you've seen from that group this year?
We've liked a lot of things. We talked earlier about Owen Carney. Owen's played good football for us. Getting Isaiah Gay back into the mix. It was his first game last week. A little rusty, but we should see even improved play from him this week. And inside, Rod Perry has played good football for us. And we're excited about the potential of Johnny Newton. And you just can't play defensive line and for us and just play 4 guys. So the backups, Calvin Avery getting time. Keith Randolph would have been into the mix, but Zeke Holmes and Seth Coleman getting time, and Deion Pate. So we're going to try to play as many guys as possible. We really like the potential of our frontline guys.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Matt Stevens, Jeremy Warner on deck.
Lovie, are there things in the last 2 quarters of defense that you've played that you can point to that give you signs of hope and signs of improvement compared to, the first 6?
Well, we did they score in the last quarter?
No.
They didn't. So that's a start. Keep them out of the end zone. Hope. We took the ball away a couple of times. Had a 4th down stop. So we're counting that. Our goal going into every game, of course, is at least taking the ball away 3 different times. So there is hope, and we did some good things. Can't give up. Really, if you look at it, we gave up 24 points, and we got to get that number, of course, down. But I saw improvement from game 1 to game 2, and we did that same type of improvement from game 2 to 3.
And I guess it's the question I asked you on Saturday, but is the frustration about your pass defense because this is, you have so many veterans back there that you thought coming into the year were going to be higher quality, coming out of the gate?
We hadn't played well. Yes, we have some players that have been around here for a while. First 2 games, we haven't played as well as we'll play in the future going forward. Kind of simple as that. Expect to see those guys play better this week, and we will.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you about your ability to be able to run the football throughout the entire Purdue game. That was something that I know you guys have an emphasis on, and it seemed like you guys had a lot of success doing that throughout the game on Saturday.
We moved the ball well. We had a lot of yards, and of course, we say a lot of yards. It's going to always start with being able to run the football. We talked about our offensive line. Guys moved around, but they played hard. All of them gave our running backs a chance. And Chase Brown and Mike Epstein both had their moments. And, of course, Karan was able to run the football too. So there's still a lot to build on. Tough loss, but a lot to build on for this week.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jeremy, you're up. Nico on deck. Scott Ritchie in the hole.
Good afternoon, Lovie. Minnesota obviously last year had a big year offensively. What have you noticed on them through film in 2 weeks on their offensive side?
Well, they did have a good year offensively. This as a team they did last year, and most of the guys. Bateman is back, one of the best receivers in the game. Tanner Morgan is back, outstanding quarterback. So you start with that, with those guys, and still there's a commitment to the run. Running back has played outstanding ball this year. So it's the same system. They believe in it, had a lot of success. If you just look at what they've done offensively, both games, they've really played a really good offense. Haven't played as well defensively, but offensively they've continued to move the ball on everyone.
And got to ask, Lovie, afterwards, are you guys feeling good? No more tests since then that have been positive?
No more. We have been good throughout. But, when you say that, we live in this world. We're voting like everybody else, right? And we're also living in this world like everybody else. And as I see it, more and more positive tests are popping up everywhere. We test every morning. We'll continue to talk, Jeremy, to our guys about social distance, washing their hands, keeping their mask on, doing all of those things. And we just hope that we continue to be lucky, but no more positive tests for us.
Thank you, Lovie.
Welcome.
Okay, Nico, you're up, and then Scott Ritchie, and then we'll try Jim Cotter again. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Quick follow-up to, no more positive tests. You had mentioned that the guys who were out last week will also not be playing. Does that include the 12 guys who were involved in the contact tracing efforts?
Well, I'm not, I'm not going to necessarily go into who all will. Eventually, all those guys will come back. We don't have any positive tests. We'll kind of leave it at that right now. As soon as we can get the guys back on the football field, we will, hopefully sooner than later. I don't want to run around your question, but there's a lot of things up in the air a little bit. We're following protocol, and you look at our protocol, you can kind of see when some of the guys will be coming back.
And then with those guys being out, you've talked a lot about just the depth of this year's team being better than years past. Is it kind of, I guess, what's the reaction like for yourself, knowing that you have that depth, but then actually getting to see some of those guys step up in an actual game situation when called upon?
Well, that's good. But I'll just say with the amount of guys, I mean, you only have so many players still. And as I was just asked about, do we have any new cases and all? We can't afford any others. We can't afford to have another group of players go out. We're right at the border to be able to really, practice the way we would like. And of course, at a few of the positions, we're right at the minimum amount too for it. So that's why we have to really concentrate and stay in the protocol and do what we're supposed to do to be able to continue to play ball.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Scott Ritchie, Jim Cotter, Joey Wagner in order. Go ahead.
Afternoon, Lovie. We've talked about Odin Carney a little bit now, but did you just see something click for him on Saturday against Purdue where, he had one of the better games of his career so far?
No, he had the best game of his career so far. And it's supposed to happen like that. The first game, of course, didn't play as well. Played better last week. Owen's a graduate. He's smart. He's got size. He's got speed. He hadn't been able to put it all together, but he was involved and made plays this past week. I say that, but Owen will talk about the penalties or something that can't do. Those were big calls against him. He would have an outstanding game if he had gotten away from those. But yeah, something clicked that hadn't before. Absolutely.
I mean, these guys been around for a long time. It was an early enrollee. The spring as a freshman.
You say yeah, I recruited him. So I know he's been around for a while. Yeah, remember sitting in his home. Yeah, absolutely. He's been around a while, and he's supposed to play well now. You get to your senior year, everything that you've learned should be on display each week. And what he'll talk to you about is that he can definitely go another level. He can definitely take another step. That's what I'm excited about.
What type of conversations maybe have you had with him before this year where this was his opportunity to grab a hold of a bigger role and do something with it?
All the above, everything you ask, and those are conversations we've had with him. Yes, and yes. He understands this is last year. He understands everything that's happened before. And but you look forward to the next year. You work hard in the weight room, which he's done. You study the game more, and you hope that you play better based on your preparation. And that's what he's doing.
Thank you.
We're going to try Jim Cotter again, then we'll go Joey Wagner, and then Alessandra.
Okay, Lovie, we'll try this again. The two guys that tested positive, I know the other ones that contact traced were their roommates. Can you trace it to just one specific incident, or was just basically the luck of the draw with those two?
You can't trace it. I mean, we left our state, yes. We stayed in a hotel out of state, yes. But we were back down here at home when we found out about it. So we have no idea. We have no idea where guys don't live in a bubble. So, and it's just hard to trace it anyway. So we're constantly going over what we're doing and trying to make sure that we're keeping the players as safe as we possibly can. And that was the case. And sometimes things just happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Joey, you're up, and then Alessandro, and then Shannon Ryan.
Good afternoon, Lovie. Karan obviously started the week as a fourth stringer, came in, and it looks like he played loose, and a lot of the guys, kind of talked about that spark he gave. What does that say about Karan's ability to stay ready and go out there and kind of play football in a way that he's comfortable playing and, not letting nerves get to him?
Well, it said an awful lot about him because really the starter normally gets 80% of the reps of the week. Backup may get about, some reps. 13 quarterback gets very few. 14 quarterbacks doesn't get any, really. Karan had really been signaling pretty much, but when you're not getting a lot of reps, you should be getting reps mentally. You take mental reps every snap. And that's what he's been doing. He's been paying attention. He's been in all of the meetings, been training with the rest of the guys. And when your number is called, you step up. And that's what he did. You have to have confidence in yourself. And if you talk to Karan, he has confidence in himself. But that confidence should grow. And now it's about correcting those mistakes that he made and putting an even better product on the football field if he's called on ball.
And Alex Pihlstrom, he comes in as a walk-on tight end. He puts on some weight to move to the guard position. Can you kind of tell me how that developed, what necessitated that positional change, and how he's responded to it?
Well, a lot of times when you're a young player, we never know what position they're going to end up. And if they eat right, eat proper nutrition, keep lifting, we'll see what their body tells us, as far as where they play. The good thing I do know Alex because he was he was on the look squad. He was on the scout team for a long period of time, and he was dominant down there. A lot of times before guys start playing at their rightful position, you kind of see them when they're running the scout team. And he was good at tight end, as you mentioned. He kept getting big. I knew he would help us somewhere. And he's got a future. And normally when you deserve to play, something happens where you get a chance to, and you got to answer the bell. And he answered the bell.
And my final thing, are you able to share our great
and Alex, that's about what our program's about too. Alex walked on here. You want to get, sometimes everybody doesn't get a scholarship right away, but you can earn that. And there's a group of guys that I have in my mind that, will earn a scholarship here just kind of based on what they're doing. Had to get that in there. What was your question? Your next question?
Are you able to share, are Brandon and Griffin feeling okay? Are they showing any symptoms or?
Yes, they are. I can share. They're have mild symptoms, no symptoms really. So there's they'll go through the process, of course, but no symptoms really.
Thank you, Lovie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alessandra, Shannon Ryan, nothing on deck.
Hey, Lovie, with some, like we just talked about too, less experienced players with Karan and Alex, are you going to have to change anything or kind of add anything to practice to make sure they're prepared for this weekend?
No, you take center stage and you get early reps. Well, not early reps, you get reps to really prepare to play if called upon now. You only have so many, reps that you get through the week to prepare for an opponent. And you have a plan, normally your first and your ones and your twos will get those. When you move into those roles, though, you get that type of, that's the type of preparation you get. And that's where both of those guys are in right now. That's what they're in right now. You always play, it seems like you play, it's fun how this goes. When you practice, you play a little bit better. So that's where both those guys have to play this week. We hope to see even more improved play.
Okay, we'll have Shannon Ryan, Bob Rosenthal on deck, and Mark Pearson in the hole.
All right. Hi, Lovie. I'm wondering just, this season being as unusual as it is, shortened like this, and you don't know, if all the games are going to get in, even if another team can't play. Do the stakes, they must feel higher. How do you handle that part of it with the team, especially starting in a bit of a hole here?
Well, We do going into the season, we knew that. I mean, nothing is guaranteed. I mean, we're hoping we're going to play this week, but there's a sense of urgency. Even if this was 2019, you play a game, there's a sense of urgency to play your best ball. And that's what's on our mind as much as anything. In order to play our best ball, we have to take care of business. We have to, follow the proper protocol to avoid the COVID virus as much as we possibly can, have a chance to practice, to have a chance to play better on the weekend. So we understand what we need to do, but yes, there's a sense of urgency, especially when you're 2 games in the hole, to get your first win. And you get your first win, though, if you play your best ball. And that's what we're trying to do right now with whoever we have, with whatever players are available. That's what we're going to do. That's what we got to do.
And I wanted to ask a follow-up about Karan, is just the focus points for him this week in practice, getting those reps, but how much do you feel comfortable putting on his plate when it comes to the game plan?
Well, it's a fine line. We want enough, but we also realize that, he was a guy that hadn't gotten a whole lot of reps. So, as coaches, that's what, we get paid for that. And I trust Coach Smith is in the room with him every day to know exactly how much he can handle. And that's what we'll go with. And, last week we were, it was Brandon, and then it was Matt, and it was Isaiah, and then it was Karan. I mean, once you go through a situation, you keep thinking down the line a little bit more. I mean, there's, our backup. I mean, Deuce Spann was on the look squad last week, running the scout team. His role has changed. So we have a lot going on right now.
And just the last thing for me, I want to make sure I'm 100% accurate because I don't know if I understood one of the answers about the guys who, were in quarantine from contact tracing. So is it accurate to say there's 2 positive tests on your team?
Is it accurate to say that there are 2 positive tests on the team? Right now, how many guys do we have out?
Okay, so
your numbers say what? Most of those guys, I'll say, are out because of contact tracing. Yes. We're not giving the exact number. We have about 2. How's that?
Okay, so more than 2 are positive. It
3.
sounds like.
How about 3?
3 are,
I think we have 3. I
3
think we
positive.
had 1 before, and then there were 2 that were knocked out this time. So I think that's 3 total.
Okay, but 3 right now positive?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Lovie.
Well.
Okay, Robert, you're up, and Mark Pearson on deck.
My question is simple. Given the season and given your goals for this season, after starting 0-2, would you consider this game a must-win?
Must win. I mean, that's pretty hard to say must. It's a game that we need to win. We're going to do everything possible to win. To say must, I would use those words. It's a game that we're going to do everything we possibly can to win. That's what I would say. We wanted to win those other 2. We're playing division, conference games. You want to win every one of those, and we don't have a win, and we've played 2. This is a game we need to win. Absolutely.
Okay, Mark Pearson, and then Jim Matson. That may wrap it up. Jim may wrap it up. Go ahead, Mark.
Coach Jake Hansen led the team in tackles, obviously was hurt early in that Wisconsin game returns. How key is he in stopping the run that you had some success with on Saturday?
Just a valuable player. First off, very good football player. He calls a couple fumbles the other day. He's going to make big plays. When he's on the football field, we're just a lot better team. Of course, a lot better defense. It's, success can come a lot easier with Jake being out there. Stopping the run, playing the pass, making the checks. He does so much. And that's what you need. You need guys like that. When you have an 0-2 record, you got a big game coming up, gives you, as a coach, a lot of confidence when you have Jake, out there healthy on the football field. I know he's excited, just like the rest of our guys, to get after it this week.
And then just one more for you, Lovie. As far as Karan Taylor goes, as you mentioned, he did have, a bunch of turnovers, but he was able to rally back late in the game. What does that say about his mental state of staying in the game, even though he made some mistakes, but led you guys down the field and had a chance to win there at the end of the game?
Well, just touching on the mistakes again. I mean, most guys, when the first time they play, they're going to make some mistakes. Most guys, though, when they play, normally don't have that much success the first time they play. So we kind of highlighted that as much as anything. We were down. He needed to bring us back. We had a chance to win at the end. All these things happened because of Karan's play along with our offense. So that's what we're building on. I know as I said, we practiced this morning. When you see that, it's one thing to think that you can do it, but when you get out there and you actually do it, it gives you a lot of confidence, and he has confidence for sure.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll wrap up today with Jim Matson from Peoria.
Coach, again about Karan, his high school coach, Tim Thornton, said a lot that he was often at his best when a play would break down. And his ability to kind of freelance, and stand lot's probably not the word, but how much do you welcome him doing that, and how much maybe with the turnovers do you fear him being a little wild, I guess?
Well, I mean, as you know, each offensive play is kind of scripted the way we would like for it to go. But plays do break down. When I say break down, it may cause for a little bit more. Karan can be creative. You just look at some of the plays he made the other day. He had to scramble around, by time, scrambling in the pocket to get the throw off and then to be able to make the throws. So, I think that's who he's been throughout. But he can throw the football, and he's mobile enough to buy time for all of those things. And I'm just going to say again, it's just tough when you're in that fourth position, you're not getting a lot of reps. It says so much about you that you can take mental reps and still be able to go out there and perform the offense. Our offense kept going with Karan out there last week. That says an awful lot about, of course, what he was able to do, and also Coach Rod Smith's preparation for the guys. Says a lot.